Hello YouTube, hello Pokefans over on YouTube. I just wrote down what I think is the finished version of my my changes to the Kaizo Ironmon rule set that I'm using. I call it Kaizo Tinmon. The reason why I'm not calling it Kaizo Ironmon Light is because, well, it's just another word added to it, and I would rather just have Tinmon, because tin is a softer metal than iron, right? So it means Ironmon is harder. Try to be a bit clever there. Anyway, I figured I was gonna go over them with you all in this little video. So let's go do that. So, oh, you can't see everything. Hold on, let me just make this go a little down like this. There we go. So here are the proposed rule changes. So the first rule change, I'm changing the catch only to be you are allowed to kill wild Pokemon until your Pokemon is level 8. However, you are only allowed to do this before fighting the first non-rival trainer. Afterwards, you may no longer kill wild random Pokemon on purpose. And the reason why I'm specifying on purpose is because accidents happen, right? And I'll go into more details later why this is. Oh, actually, I'll go into that now. And so the reason why this is a rule is because it basically allows you to it allows you to have a bit more control over your Pokemon that you want to pivot to. You get a bit more control over their movesets because sometimes those Pokemon learn new moves at level 7, level 8, level 6, right? Sometimes even level 5. And so it just allows you a little more control over those moves, because sometimes they might have Flamethrower at level 5 and then it unlearns that because at level 7 it learns a new move, right? And you want to catch it at level 8 to be optimal, right? So I just said, you know what? Just allow for level 8. Just allow you to train on wild Pokemon to level 8. It doesn't change too much. And it also just makes a lot more Pokemon, you know, runnable. I think this is a pretty decent change. And it actually does... It doesn't help that much, because you can still die to the first trainer. Which is why I'm only allowing to level 8, not 9. Because the first trainer, at least in Fire Red and Leaf Green, is going to be level 9. And by now you've probably read some of these other rules, and I'll go into them. But yeah, it just allows you to be a bit more interesting. Pivots become more viable at lower levels. You don't always have to run in the grass for level 8. If your starter Pokemon is good, but it only got to like level 6, maybe it didn't even get to level 5, because the opponent's Pokemon wasn't, you know, didn't have a strong enough experience yield for you to get any levels. You can now fight wild Pokemon, get to level 8, run your starter, right? So the second rule that would change is the no uber strong Pokemon rule. And I've changed this to be no restriction. Like, you can just use everything. And there's also a disclaimer here. Be aware that legendary Pokemon level up slower because they are set to have a slow level rate instead of a fluctuating level rate, which all other Pokemon have. So they might actually be weaker at the end of the game because they will be lower level, right? They're gonna be a few levels lower than other Pokemon, so they might end up being weaker at the end. Or around the same power level as other Pokemon because of this, right? And I have ran a few legendary Pokemons. I've run some Mewtwo's, I've run some Rayquazas. I think I've ran some Reggies, some legendary birds, some dogs. The dogs and birds and Reggies are kind of weird because they're under 600 BST. But like the uber strong like Mewtwo, Kyogre, Groudon, all of those. Ho-Oh, Lugia. They're not actually that much easier to run. Like, yes, you are a little less at the mercy of RNG, but they still need to learn good moves. They still need to, you know, have good stats. And that's unlikely that they have. It's very, very low chance for that to actually happen. So you're still subject to the gods of the Kaizo Ironmon runs. It might not do anything, right? And then the last sort of rule that I've changed is the no held items rule. And that has been changed. Or that is changed to the held item that comes with your starter Pokemon is allowed to be used. This includes TMs that it might come with. Right? Because sometimes, most of the time, your starter is going to come with a very not useful held item. Unless it's like a full restore or a hyper potion or like a rare candy or something, right? In which case you take it off and you use it later. You use that one anyway. But sometimes it might come with things like Dragon Fang, Dragon Scale, and a TM, Bright Powder sometimes. I would say Bright Powder should probably not be used because, you know, the extra, the accuracy drop that the opponents get might actually be really huge and then might actually be too strong. But again, the whole point of the challenge is to be lucky, right? And if you get lucky by getting a Bright Powder on your starter Pokemon, personally, I feel like, congratulations, you got a bit more lucky than other people. You are allowed to use this. And the reason why I'm saying starter Pokemon is because wild Pokemon might also have items, right? So you're not allowed to use those items. You're only allowed the item your starter Pokemon specifically has. Because sometimes your starter Pokemon, again, comes with a TM, and your starter Pokemon is terrible. Like, it has good stats, but it doesn't have the moves, right? But then it comes with a TM, and who knows, maybe that TM is a good move. Maybe it's also learnable, right? There's a 50% chance it's learnable, but maybe it's learnable. And this TM might actually change your starter to be runnable, or to actually get out of the lab. So it allows you to get out of the lab maybe 5% more often. I don't know. It's not gonna be that big of a change. It's honestly not that big. And then I have two optional rules that I personally run because I just can't be arsed anymore. So technically you need to pick a random starter, right? You have to randomize your starter before you see the selections. I just pick whichever one I want. It doesn't change much, because the other Pokemon might be really bad. Maybe you're picking the stronger Pokemon when if you just go by base stat total, the strong Pokemon you picked might be weaker or lose to what your opponent picks. And the opponent might pick a weaker Pokemon, but maybe the weaker Pokemon has a more optimized stat line, and maybe it has better moves that work specifically against you. The amount of times I have picked a Pokemon only for it to get hit by a super effective attack by a weaker Pokemon is insane. It happens way more often than you think. And yeah, it doesn't change much. It just gives you more options. Because the other 2 starter Pokemon are still subject to insane RNG. Like, good moves, good stats, good ability, or a non-hindering ability, right? Truant just ruins everything. And then the last optional rule is the give it your best rule. I've changed that to just reset whenever you want. Like, if your starter sucks and you don't want to deal with the shitty, rare 5% grass encounters, because yes, those exist, and you can be stuck there for like 10 minutes trying to get one random encounter. It's happened before. Because maybe you find that rare 5% encounter rate, and it's a freaking Kingdra, right? Kingdra or Snorlax is the rare 5% grass encounter rate. And you want that, but you want it at level 8. So you keep running back and forth, and it never shows up at level 8. And then it takes like 10 minutes before it shows up at level 8 once. And then when you catch it, it turns out it's terrible. It turns out it's awful, right? So I just say, you know what? If you don't want to deal with shitty rare encounters, just reset before the rival fight. It's fine. It's actually gonna end up with you having in a lot larger of a reset counter. I'm at like 2,200, and I've played for 13 days, 14 days now. That's a lot of resets, right? And I can go through like a reset every 20 seconds if the starter Pokemon is bad. So it allows you to see a lot more Pokemon, and I don't think it speeds up your clearance rates, but it does allow you to see more Pokemon faster, and then also get better Pokemon as well. But again, this is an optional rule. I personally run it, and you don't have to run it if you don't want to. It's an optional rule change that I personally run. Because I just think it's more fun for me. Well, I say it's more fun. It's kind of monotonous just sitting there resetting until I get a Pokemon with decent speed, decent moves, and decent stats. And then I decide to run. And sometimes I pivot. Most times I don't pivot because I'm in this sort of state where I just sort of run only the starter Pokemon. But that's besides the point. Anyway, these are the rule changes I have made for what I like to call the Kaizo Tinmon. Because again, tin is a softer metal than iron is. And so Ironmon is harder, and Tinmon is easier or softer, right? I feel like that. I feel like I'm trying to be clever, but I'm not really that clever. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. I have a shit ton of Kaizo content on my channel. I have some Kingdom Hearts content. I have a lot of content on this channel. Would very appreciate it if you just checked it out. You don't have to watch anything, just check it out. So yeah, I stream every day on Twitch as well. So if you want to watch me on Twitch, you can. Anyway, oh, that's the upside down one. That's the wrong one. Hehe. I know I'm very right now, but who cares? Anyway, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please like the video. Give me your thoughts on these changes and whether or not you think they will make the game too easy or a bit more bearable. So yeah, bye bye.